Welcome to Leadership, the Secret Sauce, the podcast where we talk to extraordinary coaches and leaders to dive into the realms of leadership and coaching. We're your hosts, Dave Lipsky and Matt Dodson. So let's jump in with another guest and find out their answer to the question, what is your secret sauce? All right, before we begin, a quick shout out to our sponsor, Character Matters Coaching and Consulting, where they believe that your character is the compass guiding you through life's journey. Whether you're facing personal or professional challenges, they are dedicated to helping you discover and strengthen the core values that define who you are. Dave, what is on the show today?
Welcome, Özlem. I wanted to start off and ask you a check-in question. Where are you calling in from? What's the weather outside? And then what is your weather inside, if you were to describe it?
Perfect. Thank you, David. You started with my best check-in question when I start, trainings or something. So I am calling in from Amsterdam, Netherlands. And luckily, we are calling in a very, very beautiful day. Even though it's the early May, it is really very sunshiny. Yesterday was like a summer day, and like we just wear t-shirts and stuff. So this is really a beautiful day outside. And inside is also very beautiful because I've been traveling a lot in the last couple of days, and like I'm finally back home to a nice weather. You know, it's Friday and now we're all together. So it's like, inside is also very positive, like the outside, like it's a springtime.
It's wonderful. I'm here a little bit above New York City, about an hour north, and it's around 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I still can't do the Celsius translation. I apologize.
I will do it later on.
Okay. And it is absolutely one of my favorite times of year because it's when all the pear or the dogwood trees or cherry blossoms all bloom. So everything is beautiful along the road. And inside, I'm feeling good. Got a good night's sleep. Excited to talk with you. And Matt, how about you? What's the weather inside and outside?
All right, so outside, it's warm. It's getting up, I think it's about 75 degrees. It should be pretty in the mid-80s today in Texas in May. And inside, you know what? I wanted to kind of, today we're recording, and it would have been my mom's 78th birthday had she been alive.
Oh, wow.
And that was, it's kind of interesting to think about, the kind of questions I would ask my mom about her normal birthday. So this is how I would describe it. And I would describe it that the storm has passed and that the sky is clearing. So a little bit, sort of the post-storm weather.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, her energy is with us.
Yeah. And I love that, the idea of the skies clearing. We all have that energy force, and folks that are here and folks that are not, like we can remember them by the energy they brought into the room. So with that transition, Özlem, as you were traveling around your fabulous public transport system, which I'm a little jealous of, and somebody turns to you and says, "Oh, Özlem, what do you do?" How do you describe that?
Well, I always first start by saying I'm a professional coach. And that's my favorite identity of all the identities I carry. I am a entrepreneur, an identity that I, was able to embrace quite late. But I am a co-founder of Sparkus Digital Coaching. And I used to say, like, my business partner is the entrepreneur and I'm just the coach for a long while. So, but, over the years, I embraced that identity as well. And what I do is, in whatever shape or form, I help organizations to build coaching cultures. So it could be through mentoring, it could be through training their leaders, it could be, obviously, delivering coaching, helping internal coaching programs, etc. So, but like in whatever shape or form, I really believe in coaching culture, and that is my mission. Let's say.
I really appreciate that, and I follow up to the point at which you decided I'm also the entrepreneur. What changed? What changed for you?
Very good question. Um, I think I had a realization that I am using that growth mindset not only for myself but also for my business, because especially in the last couple of years, economy has been up and down, a lot of uncertainties, COVID, etc. So like a lot of challenges hit the business. And throughout that period, I kept on reinventing what we deliver, how we deliver it, etc. And I catched myself doing that over and over again, like a very kind of a automatic mechanism. And then I said, like, okay, now, let's be honest. Now you're an entrepreneur, so it's not by the definition of the typical when you go to like entrepreneurial trainings, etc. There are lots of other things, all the RRRs. I don't know, like all these little words that people use, abbreviations, and it's not about really, using those abbreviations or going out and speaking to investors and that kind of stuff that make you entrepreneur. I think what makes you an entrepreneur is really keep on rethinking about your business over and over again, and always trying to find a way to make it happen. And so the moment I realized I made that definition shift in me, I just kind of embraced it a lot.
Wow.
But I never thought about this, by the way, until you asked me. Thank you.
And you know what I would say for those of you that are listening, I encourage you to already, even we haven't even asked it, to follow Özlem on LinkedIn, because you describe that on your posts. So I find that really unique, and it just mirrors exactly what you said. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. What do you think is your secret sauce?
I think overall, in all the work that I've done, the core thing is I think I have an ability to simplify things and make them crisp. Like simplify maybe I don't know, a process. Sometimes for my individual clients, let's say if they have a lot of things going on, I reflect back with, I don't know, maybe a metaphor or something, so it makes it easier. I don't like to brag about it, but I wrote a book, and I explained about the voice dialogue theory in terms of teams, organizations, etc. So it is already, voice dialogue itself is a complex system, and on top of it, organizational systems are complex. But everybody says like it was very simply put. So that is, I over the years figured out that that's my secret sauce, like being able to simplify complex things.
And how did you know that? Like, does it show up in your coaching? And
I think it does. I mean, in my first thing, like the main realization, I think came when we were building the digital coaching platform. Because it was like the core idea. We started very early in 2010. Before the technology was still very not that good, let's say, and coaching was mainly done even not online, but most of the time face to face or with telephone, but like in person, let's say. So trying to create a system that can serve tons of people but still feel personalized was a special experience, let's say, to think about like how do you make it so simple and so applicable to many people so that it will still touch hearts, but it will still be a product on one hand. So I think that was the period I started recognizing that I'm able to do that. But the confirmation was when I heard it back from other people, like my coaches, or when I was delivering a training, or I don't know, after writing the book. I heard it a lot after the book. So that was more like a confirmation that I was already doing it. But when I look back, like the initial memories of it is like really designing the digital exercises to fit the masses.
Yeah. If you were coaching me, and I, which I often am, unfocused and in a lot of different places, and you were helping to simplify my field, right? What would that look like? What would I experience from you?
So it would be probably giving you a lot of space for you to speak first and note down all the things I heard. First, a little bit categorize what you said and give it back to you to check if those are the categories, if something else needs to be there. Then slowly asking for like even a simpler category, maybe like I don't know, maybe a like what's the highlight or how can they come together. So that one part would be like that, like it all entangled things and just first put things in order, let's say. And then I might ask, depending on how you present it, of course, about to select one, like the most important one maybe, and dive deeper into that one. So that's one version of how it can be. The other version could be also, let's say, if you talked too much already, maybe it won't be the content, but just giving a reflection of that you've been talking a lot and like maybe it's too confusing already, like something like about the process. It could also be like that kind of mirroring could also be. And the third version, I would say I use a lot metaphors to describe a scene. And I think, we build up on that. If the clients themselves are using metaphors, I build up on their metaphor. If not, I'm just creating a metaphor and I'm checking if it makes sense. And then we can build up on that. I think that helps people to, take a distance from the details and just look into it with a different eye. So those are most of the time things I think, using.
I think that metaphor idea is really something that is a very powerful experience inside of coaching. When you've applied a metaphor, I think the clients can take that away.
Yeah.
And they will remember.
One of the mostly used metaphor that I have, for instance, is also about the coaching process. Maybe it would be also be interesting for the listeners. Is I also describe the last session, for instance, the closure session, with the metaphor of learning to ride a bike. And that's like the whole idea is about the empowerment. And throughout the coaching process, when you're learning to ride the bike, somebody is running behind you, holding the bike for a while, and then slowly they leave it. And then after a while, first you're just checking if they're still there, but after a while you just totally forget about them and you ride your bike. And that is the empowered person already. So I always, start the closure session with this metaphor, for instance. So that is, just to give an example to the listeners.
Yeah. What's the toughest part of learning to ride a bike from a coaching standpoint for the client?
I think the self-belief that I can do it. I think that takes the most, the rest is like, oh, can I be balanced? Can I really do it? Can I really control? But the rest comes later. So the first is like the self-belief that I can do it. But it takes a while for people to get there.
Yeah, I like that. I am a bike rider, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting with coaching as well. What do you want from a coach? Somebody who's coaching you? Is it similar to what you described? Is it different? What's most helpful?
Yeah, similar in a sense of I wouldn't like the coach to be there. Let's say so. I really like the coach to be as much as possible become transparent along the process, not at the beginning, but along the process, giving me a lot of space. But I also want someone to challenge me. It's not like they just, I could have otherwise written it to a notebook or something. I want them to, reflect back, again, make me sort out things. Like if I'm like you bringing, sometimes I'm also, for others, I'm very easy to simplify it. But when it's inside, it is always very difficult to simplify it. Everything can be entangled. So I would want that. I would want someone to help me sort things out, challenge me also, even sometimes, give the difficult messages. I'm open to be, to receive feedback of that sort also. And then after a while, just let me slowly do it myself. And then they simply disappear along the process. I'm not one of those people. Some people really like to receive resources or to be reminded. No, I'm just generally like, if I really own something internally, I just act on it already. So I don't need that kind of a monitoring process, but I really need to feel it inside. So if my coach can support me to find that sweet spot in me, then like they've already done their job.
That's really, one of the things that kind of came to mind as you were talking was the idea that in that coaching conversation, there's a co-creative thing, and then they allow for the coachee to really own that whatever was created.
Yeah.
And,
it is, I mean, for me, I mean, I know, of course, the, ICF's approach and everything, but I would be okay if the person has a kind of a experience to share. Of course, checking with me. I would be okay to hear that also, because I also, like you said, believe in that co-creation. I would be okay to, receive that perspective. But I also want to have the space to say, no, this doesn't fit me. No, this is not my story. But then it can help me to redefine what I'm going through, maybe. So I'm also using that as a kind of a input to revise, refine, whatever. So I am open to that kind of co-creation with my coach.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Özlem, what are some resources that you would recommend that people read or listen to, or that you found to be most helpful in the coaching world?
Yeah, I think the first question whenever I hear about a resource is always one of my go-to books is Anatomy of Peace by the Arbinger Institute. I think it's a book that was for a short while very well known, but then like it just disappeared from the scene. But it was an eye-opener for me. And I think for coaching processes, it's also very much needed, because, you can come from different places of like trying to be helpful, but a little bit going too much. Or you think you know a lot, and I'm going to tell other people, etc. So it's a great book, both in terms of making peace with the outside world, let's say, with the people you really can have a connection with. So getting out of that box and just really seeing the person first. It helped me in my sales processes also, seeing the person as the person, having needs and everything. So it just helped on that front. But it also helped me a lot in coaching, really stepping out of all my presumptions and, going deeper into, who this person is. And I think that is one of my go-to books. Talking about resources, I mean, we can also think about podcasts, I guess. I really love listening to Esther Perel's sessions. It was Where Should We Begin is the one with couples, but the other one, like How Is Work, is a great one, because it's also nice to hear someone have a session. It's not a coaching session maybe per se. That's not the approach, but still, hearing how to approach it, how to look from a different angle. I really like listening to a full session in that sense, like how it's transformed in the conversation. And of course, I would go for Embracing Ourselves by Hal and Sidra Stone, which are they were the founders of Voice Dialogue, and I think it's a very powerful awareness that there are many me's inside me, and then they can clash with each other, let alone they start clashing with other people. So it helped me a lot to redefine a lot of myself, like myself when I can really relax and listen to someone, versus that part that has the rush to stop, to finish things. And there are lots of different versions of us are present, and being aware of them, present in different moments, also present where they should be, present where they shouldn't be. So recognizing all that is, I think, important. So that those would be and if I may, I can of course suggest my own book. Yes, that's something we don't do generally, right? So yeah, so it's kind of simplifies some other elements. It's world voices in a polarized world, which is getting more and more important, I think, now. At the moment, the time I wrote it, the world was fully not polarized like that, but it's very much polarized now. So it might be an interesting take.
I really I was exactly going to ask you about your book, so you read my mind. I am interested in like the Sparkus platform and how you help coaches. And this is ongoing conversation that Matt and I have, and I have with students around, how do we position AI in our lives as coaches? Where is it a threat and it's going to replace us, to how is it a guide on our side to make us better coaches? Yeah. And I'm just interested in your perspective and how your platform is kind of designed to address that.
Great question. Actually, it's a big question because a lot of things I'm dealing with. So I will go one step back, and I will first start with the times without the AI, that the times that we build it, because it stemmed from a very real need. It's not like nowadays there is like, oh, let's put an AI source to everything. But it just originally started from a place of, I'm originally Turkish, and every year millions of young people are joining university. And most of the time, in most of the education systems, it is about the past, not for the future, not built for like, what do I do in the future? So they definitely need coaching a lot, but they don't have the resources, they don't have the money, they don't know where to start. Nobody teach them that. So it started from that place of like, how do we bring coaching to these people who really need it, but don't have the resources? I mean, there were a number of sponsored, voluntary work done, but like very, very small people were benefiting from it. So the starting point was like, how do we bring coaching to a large scale? And based on that, I'm coming to the question of like, where the AI will help us, or like where the technology will help us. Let's talk it like an open. First of all, without the technology, we have zero at our hands for some people for the coaching. So if it's just one more, like a plus one is there, that is already great. But on top of it, of course, there are lots of other benefits that technology has. First of all, research also shows, and our experience also shows, that when people are in front of a computer by themselves without another person, they don't have the social censoring. which is like, do I say something stupid? I'm going to share my dreams, but maybe they would be, a little bit over the top. So they have like unknown limitations without even recognizing they put on themselves. They don't even mention the fear of being judged, a lot of things. The research in therapy, online therapy, like digital therapy, let's say, shows that people share their suicidal thoughts, difficult issues like rape, etc., much early on when they're in front of a computer, without the fear that I'm just going to say it and it will be. They just write it out. So it's very similar we experience in terms of people sharing their dreams, sharing their difficulties. We already observed that, like it was right there from the beginning. And as a coach, when you have that in front of you right from the beginning, without it coming up in maybe the third session, fourth session after they really build trust, then you have a different story at your hand when you're starting the coaching process. So it really enhances your relationship with the person. So I, over the years, figured out that it's not only increasing the trust between the two of you, because if you've read what they've written and are starting from that place, of course it already starts with a good trust to you as a coach, but it also enhances their trust to the process. So because they go through some exercises and step by step, there have been many coaches that I had in the past who have gone through the digital platform, coming to the session saying like, okay, I wrote down 3 development goals, but for one of them, I already did an action plan and I already started, moving ahead. So let's focus on the other 2. So some of the things are very easy to solve, and they just do it already. And then they already have the trust to the process when they come to you. So like those kind of things really help. And that's where I think the technology and the coaching, when they come together, it will be amazing. I mean, more and more amazing, because originally, like when we started these things I'm saying, were there even before the AI, where people were just doing things digitally. Now there is the AI, and then the AI can actually very much personalize the whole process for the person. So they can ask more questions, based on the person's thoughts, etc. The tricky thing, of course, is whether we will leave all personal judgment aside after a while, get so used to something else telling us what to do. That is the where the humanity will go is another question, but then it will be part of our coaching conversations, I think. So yeah, I'm very hopeful about how these things come together.
That's great. That's a really unique perspective, because I think it challenges some of it's an extension of digital coaching is what I'm hearing you describe.
Yeah, it is.
Versus, it is competing with coaching.
No, yeah, it's not.
It's more of like cooperating.
It is partnership. But I think I also understand where people are coming from, because when we first started, when I was saying digital coaching, everybody thought it was online coaching, and even I had to debate that it is doable. Don't worry, you don't need to be face to face with each other. There are moments that, of course, it is good to be really in person, but not necessarily necessary all the time, and not convenient all the time as well. So even that, many people were having difficulty defining, is it better to be face to face? Online is okay, but back in those days I was saying no, I'm not talking about Skype coaching. In those days it was Skype, so it is something else I'm talking about. So I have the whole experience in the last 15 years now, using the technology and the coaching together. So I think it will take time for people to come there, but at the end, I mean, I'm letting people informed from the future that it is a great place to be. Those two, if you look into the idea of how do these two partner, how do they accelerate each other, then there is a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, I am fascinated with your mindset shift and how you got to the future. And is there anything that you learned about yourself in the shift that could benefit people that haven't gone through it yet?
Yes. It was like the original, the core thing. I will first say the message is, don't expect it to be the same as the rhythm of the human to human coaching. When we first started the platform, we said like it takes time to grasp things, like just for things to sink in. So what we did was they would do an exercise, then have a conversation with the coach, do another exercise, have a conversation with the coach. So, but the feedback we received again and again is like, don't cut me off. I just started a process and you're cutting me off and just saying like, no, now you speak with your coach. Like, just don't do it. So what I learned along the way, I mean, many similar stories, I would say, but at the core, I learned that it has a different rhythm. It has a different energy to it. So don't try to replicate what you generally do in a session to the digital. It would be another story. It will have its own, dynamic. But once you accept that and build upon that, it will work well.
I really like that. It's one of the complaints I get is too little time, too much time, and this is timeless. It's just enough time.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Time. Yeah.
So Özlem, as we just sort of reflect on, like, I think my reflection of this discussion, because I was not expecting, and you did this, was you painted a picture of a different way for people to think about coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of did the same thing that you talked about with this entrepreneurial growth mindset. In my mind, you've shifted the way I've thought about the coaching conversation.
How
like
so?
I hope that really is good for people to understand that it's very possible that the way you've been thinking about a coaching conversation, and maybe you've had a coach and maybe it's been very effective, but there are other ways to think about the coaching conversation that will, the intent is to shift your perspective. And my reflection for this time, other than you do have the entrepreneurial spirit, like mindset, because you did that just now. I think that's
wow. Thank you.
My mind is kind of blown just to think in terms of like what a coaching conversation could look like, almost in there's a program piece and then there's a conversation piece. And so I really like it.
It comes down to empowerment again. So it's not, sometimes as coaches, we are looking from the perspective of the coach all the time, but it's actually the coachee is going through a journey. It is, how we empower them, how technology empowers them, how technology is too much, how we are too much sometimes. Like sometimes the technology needs to get out of the way, sometimes we need to get out of their way. So it's again comes down to how do we empower them. So that's my core. Yeah, that is the coaching conversation for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. My reflection is your book on polarization. The other end of the scale is, the empowerment, the belief that you have control to not think one thing going in and coming out. Right, you can actually think it's something else. Right, so there's a certain vulnerability of what you talk about in the process, and there's a certain self-awareness and safety that we have to create. And what I also reflect on is safety is not always best created by another human. You said the research in terms of people being able to share things, and I am continually amazed at how people can accelerate and share things with an AI chatbot that they just don't get to with a human. We have so many things that get in the way. So I love the partnership idea of technology. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. And by the way, it's not, different than what I'm telling in the book, because it's also like we're talking in terms of the polarities, but depolarization is really trying to figure out like what's best in each one, and like how those two can collaborate. So probably the same mindset. Thank you for, I didn't make that connection, but it's very, very similar. You were right.
Thank you.
Awesome. What's the best way for our audience to get a hold of you? Like if they're curious either about Sparkus or, they read your book and they, have some more questions.
Sure. I mean, the most is like I'm very active on LinkedIn, so they can find my LinkedIn website. For those who are Turkish, would probably search for my name with the Turkish letters. I'm using the other letters, let's say the Latin letters. They are the Latin letters anyway, but like non-Turkish way, they need to find my name. So LinkedIn is one. They can check Sparkus's website, www.sparkus.com. So those are the most, and of course they can follow the social media of Sparkus, because we also share on Instagram, also on LinkedIn as well. They can check the pages. Sometimes we're sharing a blog post, sometimes a cheat sheet, sometimes just a thought, like something happened and I just read something and I want to share it. So yeah, I would be happy to be connected.
Yeah. Dave?
A final shout out to our sponsor. Are you feeling stuck or overwhelmed? Character Matters Coaching and Consulting provides leadership coaching and consulting to empower you to overcome obstacles and reach your full potential. Visit charactermatterscoaching.com to learn more about their transformative coaching and how to get connected to Matt for your organization. Thank you so much, Özlem. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Same here, definitely. I mean, I got some new awarenesses about myself and the process, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, very honored to spend the time with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Until next time. Thanks for listening. If you love this podcast, please share it with another coach or leader. Make sure you go to the show notes to get all the resources from today's episode.